Good evening and welcome to the April 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Milton Select Board. But before we begin, please join us as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 is public comment. We allot. Item 3 is public comment. We allot by policy up to 21 minutes for public comment, up to 3 minutes apiece. And the way we do it is we alternate between the in-person public comment participants and the online public comment participants. I don't believe we have anyone in person for public comment, and I don't know.
I think you're all set for in person, Mr. Chair.
Do we have any online? But I can't see the online.
No hands up.
No hands. All right. Let's get. Oh, yes, Roxanne.
I just wanted to take this opportunity, Mr. Chair, thank you, to offer condolences on behalf of our select board for Ms. Oldfield. Her mom passed away, and she's on the planning board. So I thought it would be nice if we offered that. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually was going to mention that as a potential moment of silence, but why don't we do it right now?
Sure.
Because I was going to offer that in the chair's report, but let's do it right now. Let's do it right now because it's a good point. Certainly the Oldfield family have been very important contributors to the civic life of this town for decades. And Mrs. Oldfield is certainly the matriarch of that family, and it was sad news to learn of her passing, and certainly we extend our condolences to our planning board neighbor Maggie Oldfield and to the entire Oldfield family. And before we have a moment of silence, if anyone else would like to say anything else, please do so. All right. With that, if you would all join in a moment of silence in the memory of Mrs. Margaret Oldfield. Thank you for that.
Very fitting, Mr. Chair, that for a family that's given so much to agriculture and horticulture in this town, that the only thing we could just hear is the sound of birds chirping.
Right. Yes. Quite appropriate. Quite appropriate. All right. Thank you for that. Item 3 is public comment. As I mentioned, we allot by policy up to 21 minutes for public comment, up to 3 minutes per speaker. And we don't have any public comment participants in person. Mr. Milano, do we have anyone online who has raised their hand for public comment?
We do not.
If you want to take, we'll allow just a few more, little bit more for people to raise their hand. If you,
Such patience, Mr. Chair.
If you're participating by phone, please press *9 to participate. And I don't have the computer in front of me, so we'll go with Mr. Milano.
None.
Nothing. All right. Well, I think with that, with no objection, we'll move on to item 4. Item 4 is the statement of interest application to the Massachusetts School Building Authority. We have that statement of interest in our packets. This was highlighted for us at our last meeting by Mr. O'Rourke of the School Building Committee. This is very similar to the applications that have been filed for the previous 3 years. Has been updated with a more current and more recent statistics, but the essence of the request is the same. Any comments or questions on the statement of interest application to the Massachusetts School Building Authority? Mr. Wells.
This motion that's before us, do you want that?
So this is the motion. You have that one? Okay. Yeah, that's the motion.
I'm going to read it?
Sure.
So, Mr. Chair, I would make a motion, having convened an open meeting on April 2nd, 2024, prior to the SOI submission closing date, The Town of Milton Select Board, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent of the Milton Public Schools to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the statement of interest form to be submitted to the MSBCA BSA by no later than Friday, April 12, 2024, for consideration in 2024 for the Cunningham Elementary School located at 44 Edge Hill Road, Milton, Massachusetts, which describes and explains the following deficiencies and priority categories of which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. Bullet number 1, priority 2, elimination of existing severe overcrowding. Bullet number 2, which is priority 4, prevention of severe overcrowding expected result from increased enrollments. And hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting the statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or submits the town to filing an application for finding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Mrs. Musto.
Thank you. Can you just explain a little bit more about the differences? Because I know that they've applied for several. Is this the third or the fourth
I
application?
believe this is the fourth that the town has submitted. And this is an application that is voted on by both the Select Board and the School Committee. I don't know that the School Committee has acted yet. If they haven't, they actually may be acting tonight on this application. And in terms of the specifics on the overcrowding, the numbers have been updated to be more current. The thrust of it is the same. The focus of it is the same. It's really just the numbers that have been updated, the enrollment numbers, and some of the costs that have been put into the schools. Most of those are the same. There was some additional costs that were added for FY23 and FY24. The discussion under priority 2 is largely the same, except for the updating of the numbers, the enrollment numbers. And then that's priority 2, and let me just go to priority 4. I believe it's the same on priority 4. Yes, so for example, you'll see in priority 2, you'll see the enrollment numbers listed. Those have been updated. I just have them here. I just have to find them. I just have them. The design capacity utilization rates, and where is it? I just passed it a moment ago. Oh. There it is. So on page 17, you'll see the enrollment numbers at the top. And then the class sizes down below there.
And when, excuse me, when will this be submitted and when will they find out?
So it's submitted, I believe, April 12th. Where are we? April 2nd, so April 12th. It's submitted on April 12th. Typically, in the past, we have heard in December. And Mr. Milano used to be with the School Building Authority, so he may have some more updated knowledge. But usually, it's been in December that we've heard whether we've received it.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Yep, thank you. Any other discussion on this? All right. We don't have anyone online, so this is just
Go for it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. 4-0.
Haven't done that in a while.
All right, yes, that felt good. Item 6, discussion approval of a resolution citation in support of...
Mr. Chair, you missed number 5 there.
Oh, I missed number 5, sorry, I crossed it off, and I crossed it off by mistake. Item 5, discussion
You were
update.
waiting to speak on this, weren't you?
I'm happy not to.
Discussion update approval of the FY 2025 operating capital budget. Let's go to our chair of the Finance Committee, Ms. Bradley, and then Mr. Milano, supplement if necessary.
You know, if necessary.
Necessary, exactly.
Usually it would go to the chair of that committee.
Yes.
So Mr. Zoll and I met last week, and we discussed what was proposed by the school committee and discussed how it went to capital, and capital had no comment, no vote that was taken on the transfer of capital funds to the operational funds. What Mr. Zoll and I decided to do was that we would request nicely that, that Nick and Amy work to see if they can find that $260,000 from elsewhere, and that we would accept the budget as is, and then moving forward, if there was an amendment to the budget, that would happen prior to town meeting. Part of that decision was based on the fact that the deadline for printing was among pretty much the
Upon us now.
next week.
Yes.
So we didn't really have the time to start doing that. So that's where we stand right now. I said at the meeting, and I firmly believe that we should not take from capital to make an operating budget happen. Having worked in newspapers for very many years, you don't lose an inch of space, you'll never get it back. So having seen the capital budget over the last 7 years, I know that, that every dollar is important. So I really am hopeful that Mr. Milano and Ms. Dexter are able to find the funding elsewhere because they are important positions at Pierce.
Thank you, Ms. Bradley.
Is there anything else, Mr. Milano?
No, I think that captures the direction I was asked to proceed with, and we'll report back over the next month.
Other comments or questions?
We basically,
Ms.
oh, go ahead,
Musto.
sorry.
Thank you. Just wondering, it seems like there are a lot of needs, and so I'm just wondering, taking, I don't know where you're going to find it. You guys have been looking hard already, so I'm just wondering, has there been talk of an override for these positions? Because for this year, for now. Well, I'm just wondering because if we don't have the space to take it from somewhere else, it should definitely be something to consider if they're very needed positions, because we have a lot of needs in the town. Thank you.
May I respond to that?
Sure.
We voted as a board to not choose that path this time, and it was a unanimous vote. It was presented about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and we all took a vote as to whether or not we needed an override this fiscal year or not, and it was unanimous that we would not have an override this year.
Thank you.
Ms. Musto.
Thank you. Just want to respond to that. I think that I want to see if there's any other funds that are found, because I think that that's definitely something to consider and look at seriously if we're talking about taking from some of the things that I've seen floated around before. I would be concerned. Capital, I know you said was off the table, but you would also...
I said that, but...
Yeah, but you had also talked about legal. I heard something about veterans. There's been a lot of different things out there. So
Not from you, but it was said. Yeah,
I didn't say it was from you.
No, I know.
Yes, I was not inferring that. But I'm just saying, I think that something, we should really look at that and not jump on, taking it from places that might not be the place to do that, especially if the needs are great.
Mr. Wells.
So capital, we did not vote because the warrant committee had already voted. There was really no, but we had a very, Chair Carroll sits on capital, so we had, and Mr. Milano, we had a pretty open discussion just about the state of everything. I said then, and I'll say now, that we're at the point now where, even though we all realize how important every dollar is to the citizens, that it's time to really think seriously about setting the table for an override a year from now. I don't think, having been involved in many of them, tactically or strategically, I don't see any chance we would either be able to identify exactly what you're going to need on both the town side and the school side. And the last thing you want to do is go forward with one that really isn't had a year to look at and kind of iron out everything they're going to need, and then lose it and try and come back a year from now. But it may very well be that we don't find the money. I know Amy talked about, we'll see what comes in free cash, what comes in, and maybe there's some extra money there. I will say Chair Carroll made a very passionate and articulate argument. And Mark Oring did the same thing in the conversations I had with him. But we are, we've used ARPA money we've done level service, we've done, we're getting to the point where if we truly want to maintain the quality of life that people expect when they live here, we're going to have this serious talk and start to strategically look at this for a year from now. Thank you. That's pretty much all I have to say on it.
Other comments or questions? So, so it's fair to say now that the select board, well, let me step back. The goal every year is to balance the budget and to get a consensus among the select board, the school committee, and the warrant committee on a balanced budget to bring to town meeting, or a balanced budget and an override budget, a contingent budget and override budget. So my understanding is now we have the select board and the warrant committee in consensus on a balanced budget. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And my further understanding is that the difference with our friends on the school committee is approximately $300,000, including health insurance, which is less than 0.4% of the school budget and less than 0.2% of the overall budget. Important positions, but we're getting to the point where if we can in the next month find a way to meet that funding level, then we will have consensus among all three boards on a balanced budget. Is that fair to say, Mr. Milano?
Yes.
All right. And we still haven't got the House 1 budget.
Right.
We still haven't got the Senate budget. The governor's budget cut the town for the first time in my memory. We have a lower budget by about $600,000. Is it $600,000, Mr. Milano?
No, it's
Or $400,000?
it's like the state aid was about a $50,000 reduction,
$50,000.
but usually it's going the other
Was
direction.
Chapter 70? Was Chapter 70 $600,000 less?
I can double check the figures, but overall our net state aid declined year over year for the
Declined.
first time
The
in
first time in
a decade.
Okay. So our state aid declined, which was a surprise. Our projection was that we would have, certainly we would have been able to cover this extra $300,000 based on our projection of the normal growth of state aid. That was a surprise. So we can hope that that will change with the House budget and the Senate budget, and we'll be able to bridge that $300,000 gap, or that there are other things that we can come up with. This is really the normal process in my experience over the last 13 years. And we've, or 13 of the 14 years, 1 year I wasn't involved, but in the 13 years I've been involved, we've been able to achieve consensus among all three bodies every year except one. And there was 1 year when the school committee was not agreeable, but every other year we've been able to achieve consensus. So my hope is that we can, in the next month, prior to town meeting, work to bridge that gap so that we can get a consensus among all three boards on a balanced budget, and then we can bridge that gap, which is again less than 0.4% of the overall town of the school budget, and less than 0.2% of the town budget. I will say that these are important positions, but the increase, because of the fact that we are a well-managed town, and we paid off our retirement fund two years early, we had $2.5 million of extra money to spend. We also had $3 million of free cash, which was a benefit as well. So that has allowed us to not have an override this year. Otherwise, we would have had to. But because of those because we managed well on those things, it seems to me we've been able to bridge the gap on the budget. And in terms of the school, I mean, it is fair to say that the 8.8% increase in the school budget this year is the largest increase, percentage and dollar-wise, in more than 20 years, including override years. It's the largest percentage increase in more than 20 years. And we only know 20 years because we only went back 20 years. Could be further than that. And it's a pretty good bet that the $5.4 million increase in the school budget is pretty good bet that it's the largest in the history of the town. It's certainly the largest in more than 20 years. Again, we didn't go back beyond 20 years, but I'd be surprised if because of the way budgets have risen, be surprised if that school budget went up more than $5.4 million back in the 90s or the 80s or the 70s or the 1800s, right? So I think the budget does show a significant commitment to the schools, but we need to bridge the gap on those last few pieces, I think, to try to get a consensus. So, Mr. Wells.
So 2 points. One point, so people don't forget, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Milano, we had to hold every department on the town side at level service, correct?
Correct.
There's no increase at all. And the second thing, I know we mentioned this before, and you may be on top, because this is, I know there's some Norfolk County money out there, ARPA money, that we need to be looking. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, we talk pockets of money.
Yep.
I don't know who's giving back what, but I know that time is coming close. And I mean, even if we didn't get all of it, one of the things that Chair Carroll mentioned was, like, even if they can get one of these, it will be, a significant difference. So
There may be a blend of different sources.
to make this happen, yeah, I agree.
We can source in the next month in order to see if we can get a consensus among all three boards.
Should we stop buying scratch tickets?
Tonight.
So,
Powerball.
That's right.
so anything further on the budget? All right, so to be continued. We have a month and a week before town meeting, and so hopefully we can either find a way to get all three boards on board prior to town meeting or at town meeting, perhaps. So, okay. Now, item 6, discussion approval resolution citation in support of the Milton welcoming Haitian newcomers. The group, Milton welcoming Haitian newcomers, came before us
A few months ago.
Yeah.
2 or 3 months
Few,
ago.
I'd say 3.
2 or 3 months ago, and they have requested a proclamation and a written support for their efforts to try to help newly arriving families in our community. And so we have a draft proclamation. Before us. So, comments or questions on the draft
Mr.
proclamation?
Chair, I'd make a motion to approve, I want to make sure I have the right one here, to approve the resolution citation in support of Milton welcoming Haitian newcomers.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I think you should read it, Mr. Chair.
I will read it. And I was going to point out the great work being done by this group and the great intentions that this group does have going forward to assist those in need and those who are joining us who are in need. So, proclamation, thank you, Mr. Wells. Proclamation reads, whereas Milton welcoming Haitian newcomers is a group formed in February 2023 to help welcome newly arriving families and individuals from Haiti to the Milton community and provide guidance as they transition into their new environment. Whereas thousands of Haitians have come to Massachusetts after being forced to leave their homeland due to extreme violence, chaotic and rapidly deteriorating political and economic conditions, and threats to safety, food, supplies, clean water, and health care. Whereas Milton is a generous community that recognizes the value of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Whereas Milton is uniquely positioned to assist a growing Haitian population because it is already home to many Haitian Americans, thereby ensuring a welcoming environment as well as language and cultural competency to new arrivals. Whereas Milton welcoming Haitian newcomers has established relationships and is working collaboratively with multiple Haitian-serving community organizations, including the Immigrant Family Services Institute in Mattapan, the International Institute of New England in Boston, and the Association of Haitian Women in Dorchester. Whereas Milton residents and faith communities have generously donated funds to help support families cover resettlement and living costs, as well as other expenses. Whereas Milton residents and faith communities are working with community partners to serve as volunteers to teach English and provide daytime respite and activities for Haitian newcomers who remain without shelter. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Milton Select Board declares its full support of Milton welcoming Haitian newcomers and their efforts to encourage Milton neighbors, nonprofits, faith communities, businesses, and town agencies to remain attentive to the needs of current Haitian residents experiencing hardships and provide resources to new Haitian families and individuals to ensure that they gain stability and be fully valued members of the town of Milton and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That is the proclamation, which has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, thank you for
Congratulations.
that. We can sign it. I think we're going to be giving it to you, so I can sign it right now if you're leaving, or we can wait till after the meeting.
Ben's not here, though.
What's that?
Mr. Zoll's not here.
No, but the way we did it was just.
Oh, it's all done? Okay, all right.
Was one
Oh,
signature and then
perfect.
listing all the
Yep.
members. So that's the way we're doing it. If you have a few minutes, I think we're going to have a fast meeting, or I can do it right now.
Do it.
Let's do it right now.
You want me to
It's
do
a
it right
shame.
now?
Go do it.
All right,
Go do
let
it.
me-
Go
let's
do
it.
Let's just take a moment.
Yeah,
and
just do it. That's
I'll do it.
fine.
Yeah.
Time is your greatest utility.
On Mike.
I realize that more and more each day. Actually,
Congratulations. I appreciate you doing this.
no, thank you. Congratulate you.
For all your hard work.
Standing with communities all over the Commonwealth is something we want to do.
Wish we could give you some money to go with it.
Start growing those trees.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know, it's not as figured out yet, but- What's that?
Is there holes?
Yeah,
Those
the four
corners.
corners.
The tucks in the corners.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't work though, does it?
Doesn't seem to work.
I think you need to get all four. Do you want another?
How many people do we need?
I was going to get him another folder.
How many select board members does it take to put a
There you go, you got it,
proclamation?
you got it, you got it.
Good job.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
For pursuing that, bringing that to our attention. All right, item 7, discussion, update, approval, May 6, 2024 annual town meeting. Item A is review of warrant articles. Any issues there? Mr. Milano?
No, Mr. Chair, just that the warrant committee has completed their review of the warrant articles and all of their recommendations. The warrant is being finalized now. The members are working on their comments to be incorporated in the warrant, which will be being off to the printer momentarily. Other than that, if there are any questions about any of the articles or the warrant committee's recommendations, I'm happy to speak to them.
Here, he can have mine.
The rechargeables are in.
Muted. Oh. Testing, testing, testing. Well, maybe they can hear me, maybe they can't.
Green, so that means you're...
Green, so.
Ready to go?
All right, so, I'm sorry, Mr. Milano, I was otherwise occupied. What's the net on our warrant article?
That the warrant committee has completed their review and voting on recommendations, that the warrant is being finalized with their comments now and will be off to the printer in the next couple of
I
days.
already took Aaron's. Sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Milano.
But if there are any questions about the warrant articles, I'm happy to respond, or the warrant committee's recommendations. Otherwise, the warrant should be available on the website in probably 2 weeks from yesterday, so April 15th.
And I believe this board has voted to submit all of the articles to the warrant, and some of the articles, such as the budget articles, the board has voted to approve them, but not all of them, and the board can choose to do that between now and
Right, town meeting.
and town meeting, or at town meeting, or on the floor of town meeting. So unless anyone wants to bring up a specific warrant article, we can move on.
Good.
All right. Item 8, discussion, approval, MBTA Communities Act status and issues. Item A is the Attorney General's lawsuit against the town of Milton. Since last Tuesday, the town on Wednesday filed its answer and counterclaims, and also issued the statement that the board voted. Any other comments or questions on item A, which is the lawsuit? Mr. Wells?
You need a motion here, Mr. Chair?
No,
On B?
no, that's
Okay.
really just an update. I don't believe there's anything with
Okay.
respect to the lawsuit for us to act on at this point. There's been no updates on dates, there's been no updates on briefing schedules. All we have is the answer and counterclaim that's been filed. Item B is the engagement and fee agreement. We have negotiated with the special counsel on this matter, Kevin Martin of Goodwin Proctor. We have negotiated the engagement letter, and the engagement letter provided the hourly rates that Mr. Martin's firm, Goodwin Proctor, has for government entities. And those rates are listed in the letter. Senior partner is $940 an hour, junior partner is $840 an hour, counsel, senior associates $725 an hour, mid-level associates $660 an hour, junior associates $550 an hour, and paralegals $420 an hour. What we have done in order to be able to predict what the cost would be of this, rather than have it be open-ended, we have negotiated a fixed fee arrangement with the law firm for consideration of the board, and the operative language is found on page 3, which provides the agreement to a fixed fee arrangement for the anticipated work before the Supreme Judicial Court, parentheses, a responsive brief, oral argument, coordination with potential amicus curiae groups, miscellaneous work before the single justice of $275,000. If the Attorney General moves to dismiss our counterclaims, or if we file a second brief before the Supreme Judicial Court, then the parties agree to adjust this fixed fee upwards in good faith to account for such additional work. The fixed fee will be paid $75,000 by June 1, $50,000 by July 1, $50,000 by August 1, $50,000 by September 1, and $50,000 by November 1. So that is the agreement that we have before the board. Mr. Milano, do you have anything to add?
No, Mr. Chair, that we will encumber this money in fiscal '24 for this fixed fee as a contract for these services and of the $275,000.
Comments or questions?
You want a motion, Mr. Chair?
If there aren't any other further comments or questions.
I'll make a motion just for purpose of discussion if there are more comments, so I'll move to approve the engagement and fee agreement with Attorney Kevin Martin, Goodwood Proctor LLP, and authorize the town administrator to sign on the board's behalf.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And abstentions?
Me.
Then it's, Ms. Musto.
I wanted to ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Before we took the vote?
Nope,
Oh,
after the vote.
so it's 3-0-1 is the vote. Ms. Musto.
Thank you. I do have a question for Ms. Bradley. I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit about the abstention, because we've had multiple meetings on this, and I'm wondering why at this point you would abstain versus having a yes or a no vote, given the information, we have all the information in front of us. So I'm just trying to understand that for people that voted, so that you can, explain it a little bit.
Right, so it's within my rights to have whatever vote I'd like. I can vote in favor, I can vote against, or I can abstain for any issue that's on the select board agenda.
May I ask a follow-up?
Sure.
So I guess my follow-up just is, my experience has been usually if you abstain, you give a reason why. Maybe it's you're lacking, some information, and that's why you're abstaining, because you don't have information to make a decision. And that's right. So I'm just trying to understand if that's the issue.
It seems to me that the chair of the warrant committee has abstained on every vote that has come to him. So it happens on all different kinds of committees, and it's within my right to do that.
My only follow-up to that would be that on committees, you're not an elected official. So I guess my question is, as an elected official, because people voted for you, for me, and we represent the people. So I'm just trying to get a better handle on it, that's all. Just wanted to know if you had anything else on that.
No, but thank you for the questions.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else on item B? This is 8B, item 8B.
I hope you ask the same of Member Zoll.
I will, he's not here, though.
All right, all right, all right.
I would if he was here.
Yeah.
I actually would ask that, because
right.
I mean, I know that I've abstained on things, and I usually will say why, but I will say why. If I don't have enough information, I've said
Seeing as
that.
most of the votes are taken in executive committee, I'm not sure that we should even be discussing part of that.
But we've had those votes here, too. Thank you.
Okay. All right, item 8C is letters regarding grant funding. Those letters are in draft form, and we need to have them reviewed by council before.
defer it.
So we'll defer
seat?
that until the next meeting. I think we can wait till the 23rd on that, and if we can't wait until the 23rd,
Okay.
then we'll just move forward. Item 9, we can defer. We don't, on the discussion approval, room and building naming policy, we don't have a draft on that. As soon as we have a draft, we'll go forward with that. Item 10, discussion update, select board policy and public participation. I asked to put this on the.
What do you want, more time?
Well, so we've had a lot of discussion over the last year about public comment. We increased public comment. It was actually John Driscoll's suggestion that to me that we increase public comment. We increased it from 15 minutes to 21 minutes. We've had some real, we've had residents who wanted more time at various times, not every meeting, not tonight, right, but some meetings. But it occurs to me, some boards have public comment which is open-ended. It seems to me there's a balance for this board because we have to get work done.
Right.
We have a lot of work to get done, and we're here late as it is.
It is, right.
However, it seems to me it would be within the purview of any board, and it would be up to each individual board, it seems to me, each individual select board every year to decide what it wants to do. But one idea that we could entertain in the future, this board could entertain, is perhaps having a separate meeting once a month or once a quarter, perhaps. Set aside an hour for public comment. Could do it by Zoom to encourage more citizen participation. We could still have public comment, limited public comment during our meetings for pressing issues when people could do it, but we could add a public comment, a special public comment meeting, again, maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter, in order to give people the opportunity. And again, so Zoom gives us more opportunity to do that. So it's an idea for consideration, for discussion. I don't have anything drafted on it. It seems to me each board could decide to add a meeting for public comment without putting in policy. But it's just a thought that members may consider. We're down the road this year, but the new board that comes in beginning of May might consider doing it. So comments or questions on that? Ms. Musto.
The only thing I would wonder is a lot of times public comment is driven by what's on our agenda.
Right.
And so if you're having it at various times, I mean, that's great, but a lot of times people, if they see something on the agenda they want to speak on, they're going to go to that meeting versus, like tonight, we don't have many people on, right?
Right.
I mean, at least, or for public comment. So I think it depends on, it's a little bit driven by the agenda, I guess I would say.
Yep, that's right.
That would be my experience. But I'm open to anything.
Sure. Mr. Wells.
So I'm on the flexible point, trying to keep from having another meeting, but if we have to have another meeting, I'm willing to like the flexibility of the chair. To me, if the chair looks and we have a room is packed, the chair says, well, why don't let's go 30 minutes tonight or 45 minutes. I'd be all right with that. Like, I wouldn't, on the opposite side, I don't want to be sitting here for 45 minutes waiting for someone to like, hello, do you know what I mean? So, I mean, like we could have known tonight that we weren't going to have a big public comment, but like Ms. Musto says, on the agenda, you can tell the agendas we're going to get it on. You could
Well, maybe we could build more flexibility into our policy. We just have to make sure, we just have to make sure that town council signs off on it because this issue is driven by case laws, driven by the law, and we have to be consistent in our application of the policy. And so we'd have to make sure that if we were going to be inconsistent in how we did it by meeting, we'd have to make sure that we did it in a way that was consistent under the law, I guess.
Aren't there some communities, Mr. Milton, don't have public comment at all?
That
There
is
are.
one
Right, they
direction
don't
some
have-
groups
don't
go
have
in.
it.
Some of them don't have public comment. Some of them have open-ended public comment. And some of them, like us, have something in the middle,
Right.
right? So it seems to me we've had interest in, we've had, at certain meetings, we had interest in more people speaking. So it's just something to think about going forward and how we could kind of bridge that gap. It's a good idea, Mr. Wells, if we can do it, if we can come up with a policy that meets the legal standard,
Right.
to have flexibility by meeting, you know. But at the same time, you know, we may have a packed agenda, right, along with it. So do you want to allow an hour and 15 minutes for public comment, and then you'll have a 4-hour meeting after that? So that's the balance,
Didn't we
right?
recently go to 11:59?
Well, I mean, I wonder, sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I'm just wondering if, with the flexibility, if you could say, you know, not to exceed, you know,
Right.
45 minutes or whatever.
Right, that's a good point.
So if you had a not to exceed clause in it, maybe that would work and give you some flexibility.
So maybe the answer is maybe we ask Mr. Lano to consult with town council on what our options are on doing it, having some flexibility by meeting, and then, you know, as opposed to having an additional meeting, which was my initial idea, which doesn't seem to have a whole lot of support, but yeah, we can look at it and we can see what town council comes up with in terms of options. All right, anything else on that? Discussion approval change of the board of directors of the Wollaston Golf Club. We have the application for amendment to change the officers of the Wollaston Golf Club.
Do I see this? Do I see the, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair. I'm just looking for the application, has the name. Oh, I got it here. Okay. So, I'm going to make a motion to, I don't see the names on there, though. Are the names on there, or is it the name? Is it
They are.
ABCC? No.
A couple more pages into the packet.
Reading backwards?
Where there are redactions, excuse me.
Oh, I got it.
Page there.
Okay. All of these people?
Yes, and then
All
there's
right.
4 on the next page as well.
All right, so, Mr. Chair, I'm going to make a motion to approve the change of the Board of Directors at Wollaston Golf Club with the contact person on the application. The clubhouse manager is Nicole Gula. The name of the principal, which I believe is the president, Patrick O'Brien. The vice president, Stephen Bold. The treasurer, Lawrence Curran. The clerk, Edward Regan. The one director, Ryan Magna, and a second director, R. Bradford Porter. A third director, Mark Toglia. The next director is John B. Hines III. The next director is Patrick Matthews, and the final director is John Cronin.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Item 12, discussion approval, one-day liquor license.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license applications for Catholic parishes of the Blue Hills, St. Pius X for Trivia Night in September, on Saturday, April 27th, these dates, 2024, 6:30 to 9:30. The Mary B. Wakefield Arboretum located at 1465 Brush Hill Road, Dogwood Days Picnic, Saturday, June 1st, 2024, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And finally, the Mary B. Wakefield Arboretum located at 1465 Brush Hill Road, Dogwood Days Trivia Tour, Thursday, June 6th, 2024, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item 13,
Mr.
discussion.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the donation from Mike's 5K to crush substance abuse to the Milton Coalition in the amount of $12,500, and thank them very much for this very well-run annual event.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded, and just to point, I think it's important to point out, and we should acknowledge that this is from the Mulcahy family, and it is an annual donation from Mike's 5K to crush substance abuse. And Mike's 5K was founded in 2017 in memory of Michael Mulcahy, who passed away in 2016 after battling substance misuse for 10 years. And the mission of Mike's 5K is to promote a positive message concerning the drug epidemic by erasing the stigma and raising awareness, and they certainly do that throughout the year, and particularly with their contributions, their road race, and particularly with their contributions to the Milton Coalition. So many thanks to Mike's 5K for everything they're doing for our town. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right. Item 14, Town Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the last week for both Josh Eckhart-Lee, who we spoke about last at our previous meeting, and Chris Hayden, current Facilities Director, is also departing on Friday. So Tom McCarthy, current Assistant DPW Director, is moved over to Facilities this week and will assume the role in full beginning on Monday. So we're excited for that transition, and obviously thank Chris for his work over the past year. The Assistant Director of Community Development and Planning job has been posted. If anybody's interested in a career in municipal planning, applications are due by April 26th. And the Assistant DPW Director position is a bargaining unit position, so that position has been posted internally to that manager's union. The Assistant Town Administrator position, we're doing interviews. We had some last week, some this week. And then I just want to mention some of the Easter egg hunt and festivities by Milton Parks and Rec. I was at the West Roxbury version, so I wasn't in Milton for those, but I've heard it was a good event, so appreciate everybody's work on that. And then lastly, the Health Department's getting ready to release their community health assessment and has submitted a grant application to start putting some of that work, started trying to address some of the issues raised by that. So thank the Health Department for their continued efforts, and we'll release that publicly once it is complete. And that's all I had this evening, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Milano. Chair's report, I just had two things. One, thank you to Parks and Rec for an outstanding Easter egg hunt. My kids are too old now, so I wasn't there either, but I understand it was an outstanding event. And two, again, our condolences to the Oldfield family, and particularly to Maggie Oldfield from the Planning Board for that.
Mr. Chair, when
Yes,
you're
Mr.
done,
Wells.
when you're
Yes,
done, when
please,
you're
Mr.
done, when you're
Wells.
done.
Yeah.
So I wanted to wait until we were done. Last week, actually 10 days ago, the town had the sudden death of a longtime employee, Robert Bobby Leonard, who was truly a special man, who anyone who grew up in East Milton, he's older than I am, but as Arthur Doyle, our former colleague Arthur Doyle mentioned to me that he could always remember seeing him hang at engine 2. His dream was to always be a firefighter. And one of his proudest days was when he was hired at the Milton Cemetery well over 20 years ago, and worked there for several years, and then was able to, because he was in the same unit, he lateraled and went to the DPW and finished his career there. He was a very large man who you could not miss in town. He had a big presence. He had an immense love of the Milton Fire Department, and perhaps one of his proudest days is when he was appointed probably 15 years ago to the Auxiliary Fire Department as a volunteer. And Danny Roder, another retired employee, had a great picture of him in his fire uniform they put up the other day. But Bobby died suddenly, and Bobby's truly one of the gentlemen in life who befits the word special, and he was a unique individual, and his loss will be sorely missed by many who knew him and loved him. He's the type of person who, like so many others, just make, like Mrs. Oldfield, make Milton a special place. So I just wanted to mention his passing. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Thank you, Mr. Wells. Public comment response. No public comment. Future meeting dates, April 23rd, and then there probably should be a meeting in here for May 1st, Mr. Milano, as well, for an organizational meeting.
Okay, we'll carry that.
Because
and I'll check with folks' availability.
The election is the 30th, so there should be an organizational meeting the day after the election, prior to town meeting. So either
It's the 6th, right?
What's that?
6th,
Seventh,
town
I think.
meeting?
town meeting is the
6
6th,
minutes in
right?
a row.
I say 3 nights, it's over. It ends. Open up your schedules for that second week.
From your lips to tell me.
You got it. I'm telling you right now. If I can help move this along, you'll see me tackling people who go to the microphone. You had enough. Sit down. Move the question, Mr. Moderator.
All right, so you should be ready, though. We should be available on the 1st, just so there can be an organizational meeting. Future agenda items, again, send anything you have. We have a few things we have to put on for the 23rd. Executive session, both executive sessions we can defer. We don't have anything of moment, but we'll put probably both of them on again for the 23rd in case we have anything further.
We're really having a week off? We're going to have next week
Weeks
off?
off.
2 weeks in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
I might go away. I can't. I'm working.
All right, item 21.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Made and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, 55, well, actually 50 minutes. I think we started.